Thanks, everyone. We're going to get started here in just a minute. All right. Well, we'll go ahead and get started. So thanks all for joining. I am Allison Grant. I am the Director of Programs here at Aparo. And just in case you're not familiar with Aparo, we are a nonprofit and we believe enabling other nonprofits with the technology and skill sets that they need in order to amplify their impact. And we do that in a variety of ways. We have different programs and offerings. And one of the programs, and the reason we're here today, is our G.A.I.N program. And our G.A.I.N program is sponsored by Lowe's. And I'm going to share my screen. Sorry, guys. Here we go. Okay, good deal. Here, oops, sorry. All right. Oops. Okay, so our G.A.I.N program is an Aparo grant program that is powered by Lowe's. It is a 1-year program, and G.A.I.N stands for Growth, Agility, and Innovation for Nonprofits. And throughout the year, nonprofits are guided on a technology journey with Aparo. We're going to get into the details of what that looks like in the next couple of slides. Okay, so some of the benefits that G.A.I.N nonprofits have seen in the past are capacity building benefits, including minimizing expenses, saving staff time, minimizing risk, and increased employee job satisfaction. Past participants have leveraged these benefits to be able to increase the number of constituents served, improve quality of the services to constituents, expand organizational geographic reach, and improve ability to fulfill a mission. Sorry, guys. All right. So at the beginning of the G.A.I.N journey, nonprofits will be, I'm sorry, y'all. Not wanting to. Okay. Nonprofits will be taken on guided through a technology plan project. And within a technology plan, nonprofits really take a look at all of their technology landscape. So I know many nonprofits, we tend to build our technology just as needed, right? We need a tool, we go out and get it. We're really implementing short-term solutions for long-term problems. So this part of the journey will take nonprofits on kind of through a project where they will identify their current technology, and then our skilled volunteers will provide recommendations on technology solutions. And I'm realizing now, because I'm having a hard time with this PDF for some reason, but we missed this very important page. So at the very beginning of the program, actually, nonprofits will receive 5 business grade laptops. So that's how we will kick off, and then we will move into the technology plan project. Okay, and after the technology plan, in addition to that, each nonprofit will receive a website user experience evaluation. So volunteers will go into the nonprofit's website and assess it from the perspective of key audiences, being like a general user, donor, a potential donor or a current donor, a potential volunteer, a current volunteer, and then a client or a potential client. They'll provide feedback on how the website felt per that type of audience and identify kind of strengths and maybe areas of improvement that can be implemented to make your website a little bit more user-friendly. Nonprofits will also receive a security assessment so that they will work with our technology team to really dive in, make sure that you guys are they're using the right security practices, have the right things implemented, have technology security policies that make sense for the organization. And then nonprofits will be provided with remediation ideas to really help them improve security at their organization. In addition, nonprofits will each be matched with a mentor. So the mentor will be a skilled technology volunteer that will work with that nonprofit throughout the duration of the G.A.I.N program. Mentors will build relationships. They'll become someone that you can go to with your technology questions. They'll also participate in the various projects that are a part of the program, so that as volunteers may change from your technology plan to your website to your security, the one consistent person will be a mentor. And in addition, of course, Aparo will be there along the way, guiding and making sure that there's consistency as you move from one milestone to the next within the program. And finally, a G.A.I.N grant will be provided. So a $5,000 G.A.I.N grant will be provided to each nonprofit. The goal is for these funds to be used as kind of an end to the technology plan and roadmap. So the roadmap that will be provided as a part of the technology plan will be a 3 to 5 year roadmap that will provide recommendations on technology software solutions, processes, et cetera, that should be implemented within the nonprofit organization. So the $5,000 is designed to be used to enable the nonprofits to achieve one of those deliverables. Sorry, I don't know why this PDF won't move to the next slide. Okay, so what is the nonprofit commitment? So as I mentioned, this is a 1-year journey. And in order to kind of fulfill the nonprofit obligation, we ask that each nonprofit have at least one staff member, and the same staff member throughout the year, if possible. That makes the most sense. That participates in all of the program meetings, in the project meetings, that works with the volunteers and the mentor throughout the 1-year journey. We estimate this commitment to be about 8 to 10 hours per month. So it's really important in order for the nonprofits involved in this program to fully receive the benefits from the program, that they are able to commit about 8 to 10 hours per month. In addition, we ask that each nonprofit secures leadership support for the entire year, because we want the nonprofit staff member who is assigned to the program to feel supported and to have the support of the leadership and commitment. But we also want to know that leadership understands the need for technology. We want to make sure that they're going to not just receive the technology plan that, like I mentioned, has a roadmap of current quick wins, but also those longer term objectives that will need to be implemented really after the G.A.I.N program is over. That the leadership understands the importance of that, and that they support the technology goals that are presented throughout the program. So in that light, implement technology improvements identified during the program as financially feasible, right? We are a nonprofit. We understand staff and finances aren't always in abundance at nonprofits, right? We're often wearing many hats and doing many things, and it can feel daunting to have to take a step back and slow down to be able to implement a new technology. But we want the nonprofits involved in our program to believe in the power of technology to really change your nonprofit, to really give your staff time back. Maybe it takes a little bit of time at the beginning, but it gives you time back so that you can serve more clients, develop more programs, meet with more donors. And so we want nonprofits, and the ideal nonprofit involved in the program would have the goal to implement the technology improvements. And just embracing the belief that technology improvements made and identified through the participation in this program can amplify your organization's impact. So that's it. So it's mainly time, right? And then the desire to make changes, the desire to take a step back, roll back and see, like, how are we doing things? How could we do things better? And then the commitment from leadership to really move the ball forward and implement some changes to make sure that you're doing things in the most efficient manner possible. Okay. All right. So one of the things I wanted to share here is a story from a past G.A.I.N participant. So the cohort that is currently open will be our third iteration of G.A.I.N. So this video is a little insight into the impact that YDI, one of our past youth development initiative, one of our past G.A.I.N participants saw from G.A.I.N. So give me just a second to get that video up and share it correctly.
I'm faced with the fierce urgency of now. Our kids are literally out here killing each other. They're finding guns all the time at these schools, and these kids are salvageable. They're savable. We can literally change the graduation rate, the community violence rate. We can literally turn this on its head if we're operating at full capacity. Pearl was a breath of fresh air. And I came cynical because I've seen and heard it all. Pearl came along and you guys actually do something. You do what you say you're going to do, and you're actually, what's the word? Helpful, then that makes all the difference. And guys, we would have been in an endless loop of operating in an ineffective and inefficient system that would have continued to clog our ability to not only better serve our existing clients, but expansion would have been next to nil. Borrow helps. I mean, you guys are promise keepers, but more importantly, I mean, you do stuff that really helps us become more effective and efficient, and that's a rarity. Words do not adequately convey the appreciation that I have for the time that you guys put in this.
All right. So going back to our deck, so those were just some words from Daryl about the impact that his organization received as a result of being a part of our G.A.I.N cohort. All right, so I have one last slide, and then we can open it up to some questions. I know there have been a few in the chat, but we can certainly open it up as well. All right. Okay, so how to apply. You guys may have already seen this information, but there is an online application that's in Microsoft Forms, so you'll complete that. and submit it. You'll have to complete it in one sitting. So if you want to get prepared ahead of time and kind of see what questions you'll need to be prepared to answer, you can reference the GAIN application workbook. I will send this document is available on our website, but I will also send it out to the participants in this meeting, so you can get the links to both the online application and the GAIN application workbook. And then once you've completed that, you'll receive an email from me or one of my teammates with a box site. And in the box site, only you'll be able to access it, and you'll upload your IRS 501c3 status form, and you'll also upload a 1-minute video responding to the question. Describe your need for new technology and why you believe your nonprofit is ready to participate in the deep technology change journey required of the GAIN participants. So like we shared, like I shared in the nonprofit commitment slide, really the commitment is your time, but it's also your desire and your belief in changing the way you're doing things from a technology perspective, and making the space and in some ways making the funds, down the line, if that's required, to be able to implement the technology solutions that are recommended throughout the program. Applications close on September 8th. So if please get those in. If you have questions, you can reach out to me. And I'm happy to certainly walk you through anything that you need help with and get those questions answered. All right. So now you should be able to, I'm going to stop sharing here. You should be able to unmute yourself. So if you have a question you want to bring to the group, I know Jennifer Ray from our team has been doing an awesome job of fielding questions in the chat. Does anybody have something they would like to bring up, a question they'd like to ask?
Hey,
I do.
Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry, Trey. One moment. Allison, I just spied a question that I missed. Someone asked about financial feasibility and whether they should expect that nonprofits would be incurring any expenses.
That's a great question. So within the GAIN program, there are no expenses, so that it's free to participate. But recognizing also that we want nonprofits involved that have some capability to potentially invest in their own technology. So it wouldn't be something that Aparo is receiving, but technology typically there are low and no cost technologies, and we work with nonprofits. So we are always keeping that in mind. We always want to understand the nonprofits budget so that we can make recommendations that meet your budget. So there is no financial obligation to Aparo, but recognizing the fact that sometimes recommendations, while we will keep your budget in mind, that are made through like a technology plan, may have a cost involved for your organization down the road, but not necessarily as a part of the GAIN program. Any other questions, Jennifer, that you saw that you weren't able to answer?
I think that was the only one I missed. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Trey. I just keep interrupting you. Let me go on mute.
That's quite all right. That was actually my question that you just read off, Jennifer, and thank you for answering that, Jennifer. My question is, can you give us maybe some keys to an effective application? I know this is very competitive, and you're selecting 6 people. Any words of wisdom and tidbits you can give us? So
really, we just want to hear from you. Like, what is your belief in technology, and how will technology amplify your organization's impact? Will it free up staff time? What will you be able to do with that staff time? Will you be able to serve more, or maybe you're able to raise more money so you can serve more? So things like that, really tying, because what we believe is that our mission impacts your mission. So we want to hear how you believe that too. How do you believe that technology will allow your organization to amplify your own mission?
Allison, I might add to that. We've done this a little bit now. We've got some good experience under our belt, and I think that one thing I know Allison addressed this, but perhaps this is something you might consider in your responses. This is a program that requires an investment of time. That there's time so you may want to give that some deep thought and maybe address that, because there's no way to sugarcoat it. When you're making transformational work like this, it requires an investment of time. It's not a superficial engagement.
Yeah. And I'll add, our current cohort has folks from like barely using their Microsoft Outlook to people with a CIO. So there's no, we're not looking for your technology needs to be at this level, whether it's low or high. Like it's the whole gamut. So don't feel like you're not ready, because we have folks that, came in at one organization that came in, very low in the tech skill department, but they understand the need for it and the potential impact of it. So does that help, Trey?
It does. Thank
Okay,
you.
good. Any other questions that anyone would like to
I have a quick question, and I know it's probably a strange question, but if we've applied for another APARO grant, is there any issue or concern with us applying for two at the same time, knowing that one is still being decided upon right now?
No, there is not. No, you would just want to
Okay.
consider in for your own organization capacity. So I'm not sure what that grant was, but if that's going to take some of your staff members' time, for example, do you have the 8 to 10 hours for GAIN as well? So nope.
Thank you.
Yeah. Let's see, I see a Salesforce question. So we don't necessarily support Salesforce. That is true. One of the things that will be available to nonprofits participating in GAIN. So I mentioned kind of the standard offerings, but there is at the end a project of your choice with some parameters in there. So while we wouldn't necessarily help you implement a Salesforce database, we might be able to bring in volunteers to help you assess your Salesforce database and make some recommendations on how you could kind of boost that. But so we don't necessarily support Salesforce. No, we don't have people that will come in and help you. That will come in and, we don't have a Salesforce administrator that will come in and kind of create your Salesforce for you, but we can certainly help with kind of supporting you, looking at your Salesforce system and providing recommendations as a part of that kind of project of your choice at the end of the GAIN program. Chrissy, I see you have your hand raised. Did you have a question?
Yes, thanks. Similar to Leslie's question, we actually, Community Building Initiative was in the second cohort of Simplicity grantees many years ago. And so I just wanted to see if there's any prohibition against, because we were a former grantee, are applying for GAIN.
No, there is none. So you are welcome to apply.
Super.
Yeah.
It's actually Simplicity that we referred back to as we were building this new initiative when we first launched GAIN. So yeah, that's nifty, that what goes around comes around.
Well, that's super news. Thank you.
You bet.
Yeah.
Hey, Allison, I see a question up here perhaps you'd like to address. Shania was asking a question about a rubric for scoring applications.
We don't have a rubric to share necessarily that we're sharing externally, but we will be using a rubric to score the applications, and it's based on our criteria, but it's also based, so this, as I shared at the beginning, the Lowe's is our funder, so it's based on some things that they will be looking at as well. So yes, those kind of pieces.
And we have a new question about parameters around spending the $5,000 funds that will be made available to each participating organization?
Great question. There are no parameters necessarily. We ask that you spend it on a technology recommendation that is provided in your technology plan. So that might be the purchase of a new piece of hardware, or maybe you need a new LMS system for students that you serve. So helping you kind of get onboarded with that. And paying some of those upfront costs. So not necessarily anything super specific, but the intention of the $5,000 grant is that it is used for technology improvements to amplify your impact. And we do require a paid staff member. So I see that question from Tammy. We require, and that is in the form that you'll have to complete. We require that you have at least one paid staff member.
I think the question might have been around, could a volunteer be involved in execution of the G.A.I.N program?
We would, I think we would want it to be a paid staff member, because that is just it shows a little bit more commitment, one on behalf of the nonprofit, but also, a staff member longevity wise is more involved and more deeply involved. So yes. Leslie?
Yeah, and that goes back to the issue of time commitment, guys. Sometimes volunteers get pulled away because their full-time job or life circumstances or whatever it is, right? And so we've just had some experiences where perhaps that long-term connection wasn't able to be maintained. And so that's why we're really keen on a paid staff person. And then Allison, did you happen to see the question around other grant programs being provided by G.A.I.N? Oh, for heaven's sakes, I can't speak. Participants who are currently in grant programs other than this, being funded by Lowe's, and this person is asking about whether there are limitations for participation.
There are not. So if you have already received grant funding from Lowe's, you can certainly receive it. You can certainly apply for and be eligible for G.A.I.N. There are no grantee reporting requirements specifically. You will be meeting with us throughout the entire year, and we will be asking all sorts of questions about the impacts. And so really there's not like a formal process that you'll have to follow to implement specific information, but we will be it'll be more informal, I guess, is really the answer there. Board members are not required to participate. And then I see Christiana, do you have a question?
Yes, I do. I had actually asked it in the chat, but I was confused a bit by the response. So my organization is in desperate need of desktop computers, not necessarily laptops. We don't use laptops. Is there an option to perhaps get a fewer number of desktop computers instead of 5 laptops and still have that, the overall cost be the same, just because that is our greatest need right now, technology wise?
Jennifer, I'm gonna.
So, it would, part of what would drive that is our ability to access pricing within our parameters that we have. As you might imagine, we've got a budget laid out, like you guys do. So we'd need to have a conversation with our vendor about whether we could bring it in at that price. So I would say we would entertain the notion. It's just going to depend on pricing and logistics. Yeah. So
Okay.
I hope that's helpful.
Yes, no, definitely. I just wanted to make sure that that was, a possibility before we went ahead and applied. Awesome. Thank you.
You bet. I will say that there will be some logistics that, if we're able to bring it in at a pricing that is suitable for the model, we'd have to figure out some logistics around the setup. And that may, should your organization be selected to participate, that may put the onus on you guys for a little bit more help in terms of getting those machines set up. The reason is they're not as easy to move and install, right? They have a bigger footprint. So I just put that out there as a consideration should your organization end up being one of the selectees.
All right, I will keep that in mind. Thank you.
All right, so we have about 30 seconds left. Any final questions? Great. Okay, guys. Well, I will email out the deck, which has.
I'm sorry, I actually did have a question. Just to, I think you tried to answer it, but maybe I didn't ask it clearly enough. So it's a staff of 1 here. So if we had a board member commit to participate, would that be possible? They're not paid staff, but they have a stronger commitment than volunteers.
Right. We could consider it. So we won't say yes or no, but potentially, as long as we could, felt that there was commitment there, I think that would be something we could consider. Maybe.
Okay.
All right. Well, we are out of time. I want to be respectful of everyone's time. So feel free to shoot me your questions. I'll send out the follow-up email with the link to the recording and a link to the deck. So you'll have my email from that, but it's agrant@aparo.org. And I think that's it for the day. So thanks everyone for joining and have a great Monday afternoon.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.